want to do is I want to point out to you guys some examples of student fabric. So far you've seen some painting examples, obviously, that I've done. But these are fabric examples by level 1 painting students, just like you. As you're looking at these, I want you to see if you notice any commonalities in the way that the students have approached the fabric. So something that you see repeatedly in all of the examples, and then I'm going to ask you about it. And we're going to look at some colors that are not. There's always that one kid. So here's some more examples from yellow fabric, and down here at the bottom, the blue fabric. Can anybody notice anything that's kind of consistent that you're seeing across the board with the fabrics, with the way that the artists are doing it? Can anybody maybe just say it? What do you see, Jay?
Really strong highlights.
Okay, they definitely are showing highlights. You will notice with all of these that there is a highlight. Where is the highlight tending to be located on the fabric? On the top, okay? When we're dealing with fabric, the elevation of the fabric helps dictate where the highlights are going to be. That's not always like glass. When we did the glass, a lot of the highlight was just white that was based on light reflection. But when you're doing fabric, if the fabric is higher here and is closer to the light source, it tends to collect and gather more of the light. So the areas that are near the top are going to probably have more light. As the fabric goes into shadow, or as it curls down and gets lower, it goes into the darker values. You still are going to need to have several variations of each color. We are not making a coloring book, so what we're not going to do is have one solid color and leave it. You're going to have multiple variations of a color that you blend together, preferably while the paint is wet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on one section of this little still life here. Earlier today I did a section of green fabric on the other side for students, and I showed them how to do the highlight area and the shadow region. We're going to be doing the triangular shape right here in this light blue fabric. Okay? So I'm going to be working on this section of the blue fabric. It is the lighter blue. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how to start it using the easel like you're painting. And then I will turn around and face you and show you how to do the blending so that you can see it more easily. So the first thing I will do is I've mixed some colors here to save us some time. I have a blue that is mixed with white, but then when I look at that light blue fabric, it tends to have a little bit of a yellowish tinge to it. So I've also mixed just a teeny touch of yellow-green into it. So that's going to be my basic color. I'm going to start with that area first. You are going to be leaving a small amount of your underpaint showing. Remember, we did the underpaint knowing that we wanted some of it to actually show in the end. So again, this is my local color, and the fabric has moved a little since I did my underpaint, so I'm going to adjust some of this. The front section of that fabric is what I'm working on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a shadow variation and a highlight variation and mix those together. I'm cleaning my brush, and I'm now going to add a highlight region through here. And for my highlight, I'm going to add white with just a teeny small amount of blue so that you can see it. I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit so that it's bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Both areas right now are wet. And now I'm going to lift this canvas and show you a little bit closer what I'm doing. So what I have is I have a wet area that is my local color, that's kind of that light blue, and I have the white, which is the highlight area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my brush follow the form of the object. The fabric curls over, so I'm going to pull my brush stroke down into the fold. Okay, now I'm going to put some shadow in here and merge that together and continue blending. If you feel like that's not blended enough, and I don't feel like that is, I'm going to come in and reapply and do a little bit more of that. But right now I'm going to come in and put in a shadow color and again show you how to blend it. It's really important when you're using acrylics that you do your blending when it's wet to wet, meaning that this area of color is wet and my next area is going to be wet. We noticed in the other classes that the paints, because we've not used them for a few days, have gotten very dry and pasty. If that happens, you might need to add a little bit of moisture to it or get new paint. So now what I've done is I've added a shadow color kind of next to the local color or the main color. And what I'm going to do is pull those together as well to blend it. Because I want the local color to dominate, I'm going to pull it down into the shaded area. If you feel like, hey, too much of that got up here, don't panic. Wipe it off your brush, because I was using just a clean, slightly damp brush. And pull it in. Do you see how that's merging and it's fading? You see how that's mixing together? You can see it more clearly, I feel like, with the green. Same thing happened here. We had the highlight near the top, we folded that over, and then we pulled the darker color up into it. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? All right, I will do right now just an area to re-demonstrate that one more time in green, in a darker color, so you can see it. So I'm going to start out with my local green, and this is for the other side of the room, doing green fabric. We're going to leave little bits of the red. I want my paint to be slightly thick so that it will merge and blend. For the highlight on the green fabric, which is on the other side of the still life, again, we mixed together not only white, but we mixed in a little bit of yellow. And you could do this with 3 or 4 color combinations if you needed to. And I'm going much faster than you should. You should take your time. And now I'm going to show you how to fade these again. So again, we have that, and then you're going to pull these colors together. Because I want the highlight to kind of be in charge, I'm letting my brush stroke follow the form that I want it to take. I want it to curve over like fabric and roll. So let me clean this off and do that again. This is a little bit more challenging for me because it's upside down, but I want you to be able to see what's happening. Are you getting the idea? Yes, Miss Town? No, Miss Town?
Yes, Miss Town.
Awesome. And then what I would do for the base, I would put dark blue in it and merge that together. Now if you have an area that's already dried, let's say that you've got an area that you want to put a highlight on that's already dried. What I could do is come in and do what are called washes. And a wash is where you're coming in with a watered down variation of a color and put that on top. So let's say I wanted to add a highlight over here, but this is already dry and I can't blend it wet to wet.